Kum Lenin Ablat Gemara. We are up to Daf Nun Hey Amad Aleph. The last thing we learned was that Abacha said that for every musaf you blow another 9 blasts. We're going through the number of blasts, minimum of 21, maximum 48. Says the Gemara, Meisiv, I'll ask you a question. The Tani Rabbi Bashmul learned in the name of Braisa, Yochel, I would have thought, Kishem Shetoikin al Shabbos Bifnei Atzmi. Just like you blow for the Musaf of Shabbos, you blow the 9 blasts. The Al Rosh Chodesh, when the Rosh Chodesh comes out during the week, you blow 9 blasts for the Musaf of Rosh Chodesh. I would have thought, Kach you Toikin Akom Musaf and Musaf. I would have thought that if Rosh Chodesh falls on Shabbos, you should blow twice, like Rabbi said. Tamalaymer, therefore the pasuk says, V'roshei Chodshechem. We'll soon see how do we learn out from that pasuk, but what are we learning out? That if Rosh Chodesh falls on Shabbos, you still only blow 9 blasts. Clearly repudiates Rav Acha said. Tiyuvta the Ramacha says the mother, you're right. Tiyuvta. This actually repudiates Rav Acha said. He was explaining a brisa. We'll come back to that soon. Says the Gemara, my Talmud. How do we learn out from the word Rosh Chodshechem that you only blow a single set of blasts? Abaye says, the pasuk of Rosh Chodshechem. At the beginning of your month, all the months are equal. Doesn't matter, regardless of when the month falls out, you always blow the same amount of kiyas, which is 9. So even falls on a Shabbos, you only blow 9. So the Gemara Rashi says, it says Chodshechem, it says Roshei. Roshei is plural, and Chodshechem is singular. Be'ezeh Chodesh. What's that? So Rashi says it says Chodshechem, and it says over Roshei. Be'ezeh Chodesh yesh le'shnei Rosh. Rosh is plural. Which Rosh Chodesh has 2 heads is Rosh Hashanah, because it's the beginning of the year and it's Rosh Chodesh. Missing a yud, so chadi. Because it's missing a yud, therefore we know that it's only 1. So that means even though there are 2 events, you only have 1 set of blasts. Now the Gemara continues. Another brayso that rejects what Rav Acha said. But Tanya, we learned the Levium used to sing different songs. So what did they sing? Talking about Cholamayid. What shir did they sing? What would they say? So first they said, Havu LaHashem b'nei Elim, Havu LaHashem kavod. So they said the pasuk Havu LaHashem b'nei Elim. That was the first pasuk they said. This is the beginning of Simchat Beis She'eva, and in that mizmor, which we say for our nights, it says Koil Hashem Alamayim, so therefore that's referring to Nisach HaMayim. So that's the first one that they say. And then it says B'Sheni Mayim. What did they say on the second day? On the second day, they say the capital where it says L'Rosh Amalekim Malacholas HaPechukai. That this is you're telling the people off. All those people gathered together in the base of Mikdash for Yom Tov, and they're all rejoicing themselves. And you tell them, what do you all come here for? If you're not going to be doing tshuva, if you want to remain a Rosh, then why are you coming here during the festivities? And there it talks about also about Kabbalah, so it's talking about Sukkahs. And why how about Sukkahs? Because we know when a person makes a promise to make a carbon, there's a mitzvah called Baal Ta'achir. We'll learn Rosh Hashanah above the Machlekes Tanaim, but Sukkahs is the last month when you can bring your promises and commitments of Kabbalah. So it's talking about Kabbalah, and it's telling you to do tshuva, which is what you're doing here. The Shloisha on the third day, what would they say? On the third day, it said, Mi yakum li mereyim, misyavtzelim poli. It says, Mi yakum li mereyim, and so on. And then the next half of the capital talks about, it says, Bino boyirim bam, which is actually, Bino boyirim bam is actually the first half of the capital, and Mi yakum li mereyim is the second half, but we swapped the order around. Because Mi yakum li is talking about all the tzaras that the Eden had while they were oppressed under the different kingdoms and monarchs and so on and so forth. Nevertheless, this is a positive one that's still coming to the base of Mikdash to rejoice in the Beis Sheva. And therefore they're davening me, Yakum Lon, who can stand up and help us out from all of these terrible oppressors? If not for the Eibishter himself, who can help us out? And so on and so forth. So that's what we're saying first. In other words, we're now saying, you claim that we're the Shoim. We're saying the very fact that we came to the base of Mikdash, despite all the challenges and hurdles that we have, that in itself tells you that puts us in good stead. And Binu Boyedibam is the other part which talks about that this is the time when you give, because it's harvest of Sukkot, you give leka, chikha, pay, and all these benefits to the poor people. And therefore we're telling all the people, make sure that you give ma'aseh binu boy. When you have to understand, you have to give ma'aseh where you're supposed to, and even though nobody knows what you're doing at home, make sure you do correctly. So we're telling them, you think you're going home and you can do whatever you want with your ma'aseh. You should know that but David knows exactly what's going on. So make sure when you go back home, you're not in public, you also behave properly. Then the next pasuk is b'chamishi on the 5th day. What would they say? They would say hasiroisi. The next capital would say was hasiroisi misechol shichma. They would say that capital. These are sort of words of consolation that David is saying that I'm with you in your tzodas and everything else, and so on. And I'll move your yoke in Mashishi on the 6th day. They would say you might do kol moisei oretz. And they would say this Mizra over here, that we're saying back to David, we'll give our ma'aseh the way you want us to give it, and so on. And if we don't do it, then we're going to get punished properly. We're going to get punished accordingly. That's basically the shirim that they sang throughout Chol Hamoed. So each one's relevant to Sukkot, whatever they're doing. What happens? What's relevant to Agmar here is what happens in Chol Shabbos be'echemem. On Shabbos, they sing this Mizmor Shir Yom Shabbos. They don't sing whichever one of those that coincides that day. So therefore, it's what you do is Yitcha. That is Yimoy to Yitcha. The one that we reject is the very last one. Yimoy to. So what happens? Let's say the 4th day you miss is Shabbos, so you miss the 4th day. So on the 5th day you read the 4th day, and you sing the 4th days. On the 6th day you sing the 5th days, and that's it. And the 6th day loses its own capital. Rab Safra made a sim. If you want to remember the order of all of these things, is whom by he is Habu. He is the Habu Hashem, and the Vav is the Rosh Amar. The Mem is Mi Yokum Li, and the Beis is Binu Boirim. The Hey is Hasiroisi, and the Yud is Yemoitu. Exactly the way we have it in our order. Papa argues on the last ones. Manabu Sima, his simon is that whom Habi. His simon is whom Habi, that he swaps around. And he puts binui, he swaps around the beis and the hay. He swaps around the binu boimam and hasiroisi. Bishaman, if we want to remember, is Ambua de Safri. Rab Safra was a sefer, and when a sefer goes with all of his people, is Ambua de Safri. He has a whole bunch of a retinue of people, because a sefer teacher goes with his kids, all the parents come, so he has a whole parade, a whole procession. And Ambu means also procession. If you want to remember who said Ambuha, remember Rab Safra. Bottom line is, well, you say that we make a tekiah for every Muslim separately. So why on Shabbos do we reject the shira? According to you, we're going to blast. Remember, the blasts come along with the shira. According to Rabbi, if on Shabbos you have two Musafim, Yom Tov and Shabbos, you would blow a set for the Yom Tov, blow a set for the Shabbos. So why is the Baraita say that you cancel the share of the day, and you only do the Shabbos? Is that you only blow the blasts and the share only for one carbon, not two, not like a bacha. So but you gave two questions there to reject Rav Acha, but Rav Acha brought a brisa which was cryptic, and that's how he explained the brisa. Because the brisa said we would have thought that you don't do a kol musafim, and the brisa said you do a kol musafim, and now you tell me we don't. Amar Rabbeinu, he misunderstood the brisa. You know what the brisa meant? What the brisa meant was that on, let's say when Yom Tov falls on a Shabbos, or Chol Hamoed falls on Shabbos, you make sure that the kiyas are long enough to cover both shirim. But nevertheless, all you did was you had 9 blasts. You didn't have 2 sets of 9 blasts. That's one version. Or Rabban de Kisari, Mashmei Racha Amar, Amri Loimet to say Shemar Bebeteki. It cannot be the same Rabacha. But it means that you have more people blowing. Not that you make more blows, but more people to give it more chashivas. That's how that's how it manifests itself by having many more people standing there blowing the shofar. But you didn't add more blasts to it. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, that we that have 2 days, this is the way we do our kriyas. the way, let's say when we daven Shmones Muslim, we're davening and we're saying all the kabbanas. What do? We have a problem. Our second day Yom Tov, we don't want to say the first day Chol Hamoed because then you're reducing the kedusha of Yom Tov. So on the second day Yom Tov, we say basically exactly the same thing we said the first day Yom Tov, which is the Musaf of the first day Yom Tov. So what do we do all the other days of Yom Tov? How do we do this? So he says here, Abai says, Abai says, you're right. When we go to first day Chol Hamoed, it's really the third day of Yom Tov. So we skip out which we're supposed to say the second, the first day Chol Hamoed in Yisrael, which is our second day. You skip it out, and we start from the third day. Vayem Hashlishi. Rava says no, like the Baraisa, you skip out the last day. Shvi Yidcha. On the first day Chol Hamoed, which is the third day Yom Tov, we say Vayem Hasheni, and on the next Chol Hamoed Vayem Hashlishi, it comes to Shana Rabbah, we say Vayem Hashishi, and we omit Vayem Hashvi. However, the first thing was the Tanya Kabbalah the Rabbi, like Rabbi, Im Chol Shabbos li is be'echad men yemoitu yitche. And if Shabbos, it says right here in the Bryce, if Shabbos falls on one, then which one gets falls off to the side? The very last one. Iskin ameim and ameim me takanan adoi. The way we do today, the medal gedelugi. How do we do today? We start off on the first day Chol Hamoed. We say both Vayem Hasheni and Ubayem Hashlishi. Maybe today is the second day of Yom Tov, maybe it's the third day of Yom Tov. And then the second day we say 3 and 4. And the third day we say 4 and 5. The fourth day we say 5 and 6. And the sixth day we say 6 and 7. So this way we cover all our bases and we covered everything. And Kriyas HaTorah is the same thing. The first day, as Ashi says, comes to Kriyas HaTorah, we don't care what the first three people are reading. They can read anything. It's the fourth person that we specifically read for Yom Tov. So the first guy gets the Liyah B'Yem Hasheni, the second guy gets the Liyah B'Yem Hashlishi, the third guy gets the Liyah B'Yem Revi, and then the last guy gets the Aliyah, whatever the right day is on that day, because that's the one that's Yom Tov. Says he going further. Mishnah Yom Tov Harisha Shel Chag, the first day of Yom Tov. Now we're going through the Kabbanas. The first day of Yom Tov, there were 13 bulls because the bulls are going to be reduced every single day. There are 13 bulls, and there's Elim Shnaim, but this is static. There's two. This is consistent. 2 rams, b'seir echad, 1 goat. So you have 1 goat, 2 rams, and 13 bulls. So the first day, 16. You have 16 kabbanas taken care of. Remember that on Yom Tov, all the groups of Kohanim come into work. So there's 24 mishmaras. I'm going to keep them all occupied. As we'll see later on the Mishnah that comes Yom Tov, everybody's involved. So you took care of the first day, you took care of 16 of the mishmaras out of the 24. You have 8 left. But we still have one other set of kabbanas and the lambs. 14 lambs, again, that's constant. Every single day, it's the same amount of lambs. So you have to divide 14 sheep amongst 8 groups. How do we do that? So Yudal Kvosim Mishmaris, how do you do 14 divided to 8? So B'Yom Rishon, the first day, Shisha Makribim Shnaim Shnaim. So the first day you have 6 groups doing 2 lambs, so that's 12. That leaves behind 2, and there's 2 more groups. So equally, each one does one lamb. Bashar Echad Echad. B'Sheni, on the next day you have 1 less bull. So now you have an extra group of kohanim that need to be involved. And you have 14 sheep, but now instead of 8, you have 9 groups of kohanim. So this is how the Mishnah will continue working through. So you have 5 bringing 2, which is 10, leaving 4, and there's 4 groups of kohanim still left. Usually on the third day when you only have 11 bulls. So and so therefore you have 10 groups of kohanim that need to be occupied with 14 sheep. Is makrivim dalil makrivim shnayim, 4 bring 2 and 2. So right, so 4 bring 2 was leaves 8 was leaves 6. And then Bashar and the other remaining 6 groups, Echad Echad. Brevi, the 4th day when you have again even less than that, another coin down. So we just continue going through the Mishnah to show you how we divide the lambs accordingly. Shloisha Makim Shnayim, 3 groups bring 2, Bashar Echad Echad, the rest being 1. Chamisha on the 5th day, again they lose another bull, Shnayim Makim Shnayim. Only 2 groups bring 2 lambs, and Bashar, and the remaining lambs, which is 10 more, is Echad Echad. Bishishi on the 6th day, when again now you're down to 8 bulls, and so therefore you have 11 kohanim taken, and you have now you have now 13 groups available. Is Echad Machir Shnaim, so 1 brings 2, so that brings you 12. So even 12 groups of kohanim still there. Bashar Echad Echad. B'Shvi and Shana Rabbah, Kulon Shavin. They're all equal. You have 14 groups because you only bring 7 bulls and 7 bulls and 2 rams and 1 goat. That makes it 10. That leaves you 14. So there's 14 groups of kainim. Each one gets 1 lamb. Shmini had said is when we only bring 1 bull, chozru lefayis. They go ahead and make a lottery again between the entire group. We'll soon see which opinion we follow. If you remember, is it because basically if you focus on the bulls, only on the bulls, so you have a total of 70 bulls over Yom Tov, and there's 24 groups of kainim. So you do multiples of 3, that comes 72. That means 22 groups of the kainim ended up doing 3 bulls, but 2 groups only did 2 bulls. And the question is, do you make the lottery only for those 2 remaining families that didn't have an opportunity to bring a 3rd bull? They're the ones who have a lottery about this single bull, or do you make the whole lottery again? And the crux of their argument is Shmini Atzeres a continuation of Sukkot, so then it's these 2 remaining families. But Shmini Atzeres is totally like an announcement, not only regarding those 6 things that we said, but it's totally a separate Yom Tov. Then you have to start a new lottery. What does it matter that Sukkot they had more than you? So they're new Yom Tov. Like any other Yom Tov. And when they made through Sukkot, whoever brought bulls today, when they made their groups, they made sure that they kept the roster. So there was different groups who did the bulls, so everyone had an opportunity. Name of Masisi Rebbe, let's say our Mishnah's Rebbe, the Tanya, we learned part of Shmini, the part that they brought on Shmini said is Bechila Mafisin, all of the Rebbe says that they start all over again. They bring a whole new lottery. And the Chachamim say, Achas, it's only Mishnah Mishmar is Leah Fusim. Sorry, Chachamim Ach Mishnah Mishmar is the only ones involved in the lottery are the 2 remaining families. And our Mishnah says that Shmini had said this. It says in the words of the Mishnah is Choizim lefayis, that they make a new lottery. Like in the Yom Tov, sounds like you bring a brand new lottery that involves all the families. That's what it sounds like. So it sounds like Rebbe, not the Chachamim. I feel the name of Rabban. It's just because all it says is you have to make a lottery like in the Yom Tov. It doesn't say that all the families have to be involved in the lottery. It's just saying you have to make a lottery, because the other days of Chalmah, we no lottery. We just kept on going this roster. But how many people are involved in the lottery doesn't go into. It could be only 2, like a Chachamim. Who's also the following brayso we learn? All the groups had opportunity to do 3 bulls. I bring 2 and not 3. Name it's Rebbe. That's Rebbe, not the Rabbanon, because it's possible that only right now we're learning it's possible that the entire Sukkot and Shmini Atzeres will be 2 groups or even 2, because it sounds like making a whole new lottery Shmini Atzeres, and it could be that one of the groups that made 3 can end up with winning the lottery, and the 2 groups that only brought 2 will walk away even after Shmini Atzeres only 2. So how do you know that's pshat? I feel Tema Rabbanon. My lo shoshu b'pari achad. All he meant is they didn't have any time. It was during Sukkot. But on Shmini Atzeres, one of them will bring a 3rd one, which meant that during Sukkot, 2 are missing. Ebazeh and my Kamashlan. What's the chiddush then of this whole thing there? Obviously, how Kamashlan comes to teach you that Misha Hikriv Porim Hayom Lo Yakriv L'Macher. The chiddush of our mission is that if you brought, let's say, the first day Chalamoid apart, you have to make sure that on the next day Chalamoid you don't take part in the bulls. Let the next group who didn't take part in the group and the bulls take over. And when you finish the entire round of 24 mishmaras, then the ones who had the first one go back and do it again. What's the idea of the Shiva party? The 70 paras represent the 70 nations. Par Yechidi Lama. So what's the one single bull that we do on Shmini Atzeres? What's that all about? Keneged Yechidi, the single nation that has no partners. And who is that? That's us. Moshul Lemela Bosavadam, King Sha'amala Vodam, Asuli Suda Gedoila Leyem Achra. I want you to make me a big party on the last day. Amala Oyavoy. Then he said to his friend, sorry, let's make a big party. Let's make a big party. And then Liyem Achram, but when it comes to the final day, after everybody's about to part, Amala Oyavoy says to his beloved, Asayli Sudiktana, we don't need a large party anymore because most of the guests are leaving, but I want a party just for us. I want to enjoy your company as well. So therefore you have the 70 party representing the nations, and then you have a single party which represents the what woe is to the Goyim. The Goyim themselves don't realize what they did, what catastrophe they caused by destroying the base of Mikdash. Then Yoidi Masha over, they didn't realize the consequences of their acts. Why? But the man should basically just kind of was standing Mizbeach Mechapet Alehen. Pretty extraordinary that the Mizbeach is not only Mechaper for the Yidden who broke up on it, even Goyim. In fact, we learned in other places that Goyim can send Kabbalah to the base of as well. So today, we at least have davening. Tefillah connected community to them. They don't daven, so therefore, who is going to be atoning for them? Says in next Mishnah, 3 times a year, you call Mishmar Shabbos, even though David Melech made that every week there was another Mishmar, and then you broke it down to family. But they have, when it comes to Yom Tov, all the Mishmarim will come and join in the base of Mikdash and join in and be when it comes to distributing the fats of the kabbanis of Yom Tov. Any carbon has to do directly with Yom Tov, like the Shalmei Chagiga. Not the Oilus because no couldn't get anything, but the Shalmei Chagiga. They can also get the fats and the bread, the Chazay Shek and all that. All the Kohanim divide it, whether it's their day or not their roster. And also when it comes to Shabbos, when they distribute the Lechem Aponim, if Shabbos falls on Yom Tov, then not only that particular roster, but all the Kohanim get a share in that. Uvat Tzedis, when it comes to Shavuos, if it falls on the Shabbos. So on that Tzedis, you have two things now. You have the 12 loaves, and then you have the Shtei Lechem. So the loaves, the 12 loaves, basically are matzah. The Shtei Lechem is chametz. So therefore, there was the Heilech, the Lechem Aponim. It's a Heilech matzah. Here's your Lechem Aponim, the matzah, and the Heilech chametz. And here's your chametz, the Shtei Lechem. Everyone got an equal part. Mishmer Shezmane Kavua. What about the group that's their rosters? What do they have on that Yom Tov that nobody else has? Who makiv timidin? They're the ones who bring up the carbon tamid that belong on that day, and which has nothing to do with Yom Tov, it's just the daily service. And nedavas v'shar kabbalah tzibur. All the nedavas, people who come up on Yom Tov and bring their sacrifices, it has nothing to do directly with Yom Tov. They could have brought it any time. So then, who gets the benefit of all that is the kohanim of that week. And they bring it all up. So therefore they have an unbelievable advantage that could be so many more kabbanas than usual. Just like the kohanim who were the punkt in the Yovel and the week of Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah, when they had to distribute things that people didn't collect, it would go to the kohanim. They're the ones who used to receive it.
Is the lechem upon him is not chametz, or is that just for Shavuos?
The lechem upon him is never chametz. That's why we say, for example, the part of the davening, the lechem. Some people say the part of davening lechem upon him, even on Pesach, because like Mizmor L'Seidah, we don't say Pesach because some of the loaves are chametz and you can't bring it on Pesach. But lechem upon him was definitely not chametz; it was matzah. But on Shavuos, the shtei lechem, the 2 loaves, had to be chametz. The whole idea was this is the first mincha out of wheat on Mizbeach. So from then on in, they used to bring the chadash, the new crop, the new wheat, onto the Mizbeach. It's definitely chametz. In fact, all the menachas are generally matzah, bar just 2 of them.
That's why it's like a secret how to make it, because it wasn't flat. It had a certain shape to it.
Yemenite bread, the laffa bread. Yeah, it was pretty. If you look at the pictures, it was pretty, and we learned it was a tefach. It was pretty thick. Yep, and they still pounded and they made sure that it didn't turn into.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Says the Gemara. If bread can mute themselves. Says the Gemara, a muri had a golim shall gavoya ninu. Says the Gemara, you say over here that they divide the fats of Yom Tov. The kabbanos of Yom Tov, all of it go on the Mizbeach. What do you mean the kohanim get a hold of the fats or get a share of the fats? What we meant over here was we're talking about not the kabbanos that go totally in Mizbeach. We're talking about the Shalmei Chagiga. People had to bring a karma chagiga. That karma chagiga was like the shlamim, and the kohanim are entitled to the chazay and the sheikh and the fats, the breast, the shank bone, and therefore all the kohanim who participated in the work of Beis Hamikdash on that day, even though it wasn't their roster, got a share in that. And likewise, the carbon oilus area that people used to bring, even though they don't get any flesh, the heights are divided. Kohanim would get, all the kohanim would get a share of that. Okay, and any carbon that's through with Yom Tov, Musafei, the Tzibur, and the Sirichat, and so on. Says the Gemara, how do you know Taka that they have rosters? How do you know when it comes to Yom Tov, everybody's entitled to a share? It says the pasuk, says the pasuk, They should come with a desire. They should come with a desire, the shadis, and they should end up serving. So we're saying that everybody can come. It says everybody can come. And the moment they can come and shadis, which means to serve, they're entitled to have entitlements, and that is to get to reap the rewards of what they did. And Yochel, I would have thought, even though the pasuk said Chiyave Halevi, 24 times in the Torah, Kohanim are referred to as Levi, and this is one of them. So we're talking about the Kohanim. Yochel, I would have thought the rest of the same thing. It says if the Levi comes from one of your gates, it's only when all the Eden enter into the base of Mikdash through the single gate. In other words, in the Marti Bashosha, that means Yom Tov when everybody comes to the same place. We distribute lechaponim. How do you know that when Shabbos falls on a Yom Tov that everyone is entitled to a shared lechaponim? All the kohanim, not only that roster. It says a pasuk. It says that one portion corresponding to another portion they should eat, and we darshan all those who have a share in the avoid in the base of Mikdash also have a share in benefiting and eating from what they've been making in the base of Mikdash. What eating are we talking about? And what are we talking about? If you tell me that if they were involved in a carbon, that let's say this irichat toys, whatever it is, they can get their benefits. Come on, if you have another puzzle altogether, it says like kohen and makriv. So like it says clearly, the kohen who brings up the carbon, he should get a share in it. So obviously, all the kohenim are working in the base of Mikdash. We already know that they're allowed to work in the base of Mikdash. We just said before, so they can work in the base of Mikdash. So obviously, if they work, they get the benefits. What does the pasuk here say? To teach you that if they work, they're entitled to food. What is it talking about? It must be something they're not working with. And what is that? Ela lechem hapanim. Only the lechem hapanim, which they're not personally working with, and they get a share in that as well. Yochel, I would have thought maybe if so, they should get a share in everything. Why limit it on the lechem hapanim? Maybe that on Yom Tov, even people brought up, let's say they made a neder and a dava. They throughout the year they made promises that they could bring karbanos. It's just convenient to bring it on Yom Tov, so they bring it on Yom Tov. How do you know that the kohanim from the other rosters don't get a share in that as well? Maybe that's what the pasuk tells you. They all get a share in it. Therefore, the pasuk says, "Levad mimkrav ala others." It says in the pasuk, besides what they sort of sold during the times of the others, during their ancestors. What do you mean? What did the ancestors sell? What is what arrangement did all the kohanim and their ancestors have with each other? They all agreed. I have my week and you have your week. It's an arrangement that they all made, that they're going to divide. This was David Melech Darshan, that they are going to divide the weeks. You have this week and I have this week. That's how we made 24 mishmaros. So therefore, any activities which do not directly pertain to Yom Tov, it remains exclusively the possession of that weekly roster. It's only from that pasuk. The only thing we learn out from the pasuk that says that even though there was no effort from the kohanim, the guest, nevertheless they have a share in it, is a lechem hapanim. But we limit it to that. But all of the kabbanas which are not directly related to Yom Tov, only the roster gets it. All the kabbalah directly related, like the koil sariya or the shama chagiga, all the kohanim get a share in it. So that is how we learn. And tomorrow is the siyum of Masechta Sukah. And then we start.